right, guys, we have to do two things. First of all, we have to talk about one person in my chat. They go by the name of Jassa Proxy. Because Jassa has made this fan art right here of a very weird version of me next to a meteor golem. Thanks, Jassa. Thank you. This will maybe, possibly, be abstract enough to be levity as we talk about the thing we actually have to talk about. The GOP arguing that child marriage is good, actually. Again. Tennessee all over again, everybody. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Everybody's like, that was not the segue I expected. You're right. It wasn't. GOP official argues in favor of, girls are ripe and fertile as children. So, yep. Let's go ahead and cover this one. The New Hampshire House passed a bill to ban child marriage in the state to raise the minimum age of marriage to 18. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Who would be upset about that, except Nick Fuentes? The measure passed the Senate unanimously on March. On Thursday, it passes the House, and the bill now goes to Governor Chris Sununu for signing into law. One of those voting against was Representative Jess Edwards. This specimen right here. He has advocated to make a, let's see here, in 2022, he advocated for the successful passage, which created an exemption for fatal fetal diagnosis to the 24-week abortion ban law. Oh, cool. And then, oh, shit. Thank you, Wikipedia. In 2024, Edwards argued in favor of child marriage, referring to 16-year-old girls as ripe and fertile. Ripe and fertile. They are ripe and fertile. 16-year-old girls. My guy, looking at you, you look like your daughter is 16. Please do not talk about your ripe and fertile, potentially, daughter. He said, if we continually restrict the freedom of marriage as a legitimate social option, when we do this to people who are a ripe, fertile age and may have a pregnancy and a baby involved, and are we not, in fact, making abortion a much more desirable alternative when marriage might be the right solution for some freedom-loving couples? Boy, howdy, I hope we get some 16-year-olds pregnant. They are ripe, apparently, according to this man here. God, that can be clipped so horribly. I pray for the mercy of my audience. You turned the meteor golem to Blightsteel Colossus. You corrupted it. In a state where 18 is not old enough to drink, Edward believes that girls at 16 are old enough to get married. Edward's daughter, Elizabeth, served as state representative, and Edward said that her service was the inspiration for him to run for office, and he is now in his third term. The only thing that's in its third term right now is the brain tumor that's eating his entire existence. Child safety and gun control advocate Shannon Watts tweeted that child marriage is currently legal in 38 states. And 20 states do not require a minimum age for marriage. It would be the second time the New Hampshire age of marriage has been raised in the past 6 years. In 2018, Sununu signed a bill to raise the minimum age to 16. For more than 100 years, the law has allowed 13-year-old girls and 14-year-old boys to get married with parent and court approval. Remember, the transgenders will never be old enough to make do on their own wishes. They will never be smart enough. They will never be able to make permanent life-altering decisions like this. But at 13 years old, you, yes, you, can start a family. I hate this. I think I hate this. On Thursday, 2 amendments were proposed to allow some exceptions for those under 18 to get married if they have been legally emancipated. I can kind of see that one a little bit, but I feel like most of the benefits we've strapped behind marriage should not be attached only to marriage. Representative Cassandra Levesque D. Barrington was a senior at Dover High School and a Girl Scout when she pushed for the bill in 2018. Now she's one of the 7 co-sponsors of SB 359. She said, for the past 10 years, I've researched child marriage, and I've learned the devastating effects of child marriage. Yeah, child marriage. Okay, I have to say this. I think I understand now. Anytime we make the joke that every Republican is a pedophile, I don't agree with the joke on principle, because when I think of Republican, I think also of Republican voters who I do not think are pedophiles because they are just wrong on politics. You can be wrong without also wanting to screw kids. However, I think it's safe to say that any GOP politician that sponsors a bill like this, probably a better person. Probably a better person than who we would label a pedophile. And if you argue against a bill like this that's just trying to raise the age of consent, basically, to a point where it is much more reasonable, then maybe, just maybe, there's something we need to talk about what you think is perfectly reasonable and acceptable for a 16-year-old to be doing. Can you imagine, for just a moment, what has to go through somebody's head when they sit there and go, we need to talk about rap infertile 16-year-olds? Now, when it's Nick Fuentes saying it, I totally understand it. He's a Nazi, so he has brain worms, and they are currently eating his entire existence. I don't have to justify it much further than that in my own head. When it's a guy who's actually involved in our politics and apparently decided to get involved in politics because of the work of his daughter, and then he basically does things like that, I can't. My guy, when I talk to most people who are parents, when something like this comes up, when a bill like this comes up, they imagine it happening to their child, their daughter. And when they imagine something like this happening to their daughter, it pisses them off. It takes them out of every single bit of semblance of normalcy. Like, all of it goes out the window. And rightfully so. When you think of somebody harming your child as a parent, those defensive mechanisms, they should be getting, like, they should be happening. Those defensive mechanisms should be going full on through the roof. When they don't, there's one of two scenarios. You either recognize that your son or daughter is a superhero and nothing bad can ever happen to them because they can kick its ass, or, you know, maybe you shouldn't have had kids in the first place. I feel like that defensive option for parents is one of the first things they should think of. When somebody talks about killing dogs or cats, I get pissed because I think of it happening to Gigi or Growlithe. And I'm sorry, I feel like that should be a normal gut reaction for anybody who raises another living being for years and years of its life. And yet apparently Kristi Noem can talk about killing her dog and how that makes her a strong and decisive leader, like some fucking Walking Dead wannabe villain. And then this guy could talk about the fertileness of 16-year-olds. Like, I don't know, he's Catholic. Marilana says, I don't think all conservatives are pedos, but I can't help but remembering people saying even if Roy Moore tried to sexually assault a teenager, at least he's not a Democrat. Jesus. Old Gus says, GOP 15 years ago. Last too much teen pregnancy going around. What if we ban sex outside of marriage? GOP today. Well, now, we need more teen pregnancy. Yep, that's about right, old Gus. That's entirely right. That's where we're at. Thanks. That's about all I can handle with that. I can't stomach any more of this. Talking about this entire scenario just makes me angry. Instead, there's a 3D print running, and it's another dice tower, and it's in pretty red silk filament, and I've printed a slime Suris in it already, and it looks really cool, and it's shiny, and, you know, isn't that great? Isn't that cool? Guys, look at the pretty 3D print. It's not child marriage, and that automatically makes it much better than that thing. I don't know where else I'm going with this. I'm basically padding for time at this point. Insert into video tagline here.
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Blitzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Nixie-chan, the Oberon team, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.